Let's turn our attention to London. The Royal Tour may be making front-page news every day here. But is it proving popular back in the UK, the all-important UK market, of course? Well, Europe correspondent Jess Much is there. Jess, what has the reaction been like? Are you guys even aware that it's on as a sort of mainstream?
Yeah, the answer is a very big resounding yes. It's completely dominating here. In terms of the news coverage, there are just images of Prince George in New Zealand everywhere. I've got some examples for you here. I mean, have a look at these, the front pages of some of these papers. We've got this one. Basically, all of the papers that we have here in the newsroom in the mornings, these ones here, had images of Prince George on them. And it's not only images on the front pages like this, but it's also huge, big pictorial spreads like this one. Because don't forget, what happens is all the events happen in New Zealand through the day. They're then sent back to the UK papers, and then, of course, they're put in the next day. So because they haven't had very many photo opportunities with Prince George, these are just creating such a buzz and such a stir here. I was actually on the Tube yesterday, and you'll know from being here that when people are reading on the Tube, they're sort of all lined up, and it was just all of these images of Prince George in New Zealand going down the Tube. So I think it's a big deal for New Zealand to have this dominating so much here. Yeah,
and we've talked already this morning with Ali about how, Kate wears something or Prince George wears something that it's sold out because the UK market and the US market, I imagine, straight onto it. Just from your perspective, as a Kiwi in London while this is going on, are the British media getting it right? Are they portraying us fairly, accurately, too well, apart from the inevitable rain, I guess?
Yeah, well, I have to say the focus is mainly on George and where he is and where he's playing and things like that. I guess in a certain level, it kind of reminds people of the sacrifice and the part that New Zealand plays in the UK. And I think as a New Zealander living here, it's always nice to remind people of that. I guess from even a tourism point of view, there are some beautiful images of New Zealand coming back, but perhaps those shots of her holding the umbrella and standing out in the rain aren't doing us too many favours. But yeah, I mean, they're caught up in this whole George phenomenon at the moment, and hopefully New Zealand can ride on the coattails a little bit of that.
It's been absolute gold being the first place to get George really in such a public way. Now I want to talk about some other UK news. The Queen's had this historic meeting with the President of Ireland. Why is this so significant?
It's so significant because he's the first Irish president to come to the UK. You remember that 3 years ago the Queen went on this symbolic visit for 4 days to go and visit Ireland, and she was there, and this is basically symbolising the give and take in their relationship. They're trying to repair this obviously very damaged relationship, and this is a big deal for this trip, I have to say, for him to be over here. There's a lot of attention here in the UK. It's not really going throughout the rest of the world, but it is a big deal for people here. And I can say they're doing a lot of fanfare. He's meeting with a lot of people. There's a lot of security around. I actually saw it driving through some of the suburbs in London yesterday, and you can definitely tell that they're keeping a very close eye on him when it comes to security. Yeah, no doubt. Now, very quickly, I just want to ask you any update on Peaches Geldof. Of course, this effectively knocked the Royals off the front page for that first day of their tour. But I don't know if mystery is the right word, but there are unanswered questions, aren't there? Yeah, absolutely. We reported on this earlier in the week, and there are definitely still unanswered questions. Her body has actually been released now to the family so that they can prepare for the funeral. They did do some tests, some initial tests, and nothing was conclusive. So they're now waiting on a toxicology report, and that could take a number of days, if not a couple of weeks. So in terms of waiting for the funeral, they really did need to release that body to her family so that they could start the formal grieving process, if you like.
OK, thank you very much indeed. That's Jessica Much, Europe correspondent.